This meeting is being recorded and televised by the local cable company. We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence. Approval of bill and payroll warrants. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum, is there anyone here who would like to speak about something that's not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
To the podium and sign in, please.
Please state your name and address.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Fox. I live at 565 Washington Street, Apartment 5. I gave a letter in the Dropbox to all of you, to the superintendent, and to Hanson. I was dismayed, disappointed, and downright disgusted at the results of the school vote. Not kudos go to you for having it 5-0 and putting it on. Don't know what happened in Hanson where it went down 2-1. My problem was, coming from New York, I had no idea you'd have a vote on Saturday 9 to 5. I had a graduation from Leslie University, prior engagement, and I went. I would have been one of those 75 that would have voted for it. I think that's a little too restricted. People have 12-hour shifts, they work. I would prefer, if it's at all possible, that another date be selected and a bigger window, an opportunity to vote, such as 12 hours. The future of our children is too important for a business like 9 to 5. Teachers even put in more time. The next thing I have to know, I want to thank you. Can the date be changed from a Saturday? If not that, what about the hours? And where I come from, if a budget doesn't pass, it goes up for a new vote. Is there any chance of that happening here? Don't everybody yell out at once.
No, I believe Frank may have
Did you
responded to you.
receive my letter?
No.
Okay, I did write a response to your letter, and I made a couple of comments. With respect to the town election, that is set by our bylaw. The citizens of Whitman chose to make the third Saturday of May every year our annual election. We have actually tried to reschedule both town meeting and election in the past, and we've failed miserably on other days. In order to ensure that voters have an opportunity to participate in the local voting process, we do have absentee balloting that can be done in the town hall or by mail. For 10 days prior to the election, anyone can come into the town hall and execute a ballot.
And that would be
Ballot is
me.
held-
Okay, so for me then, I will know better next time.
Yeah, and I did mention that in the letter. Anyone who cannot make the hours of the election are welcome to come in or request a ballot by mail, either way. If you want it by mail, the clerk will mail it to you with a return envelope. If you come in, they'll actually let you vote right at the counter. They have a couple of little
Perfect.
booths set up for it. Our intent is to invite, not disenfranchise voters. But the annual election is really very difficult to compare to a statewide or presidential election where issues are greater and we have much higher participation. A 20% turnout at an annual town election is huge for us because people have just abdicated their participation in local government. They do seem to have an interest in statewide elections and certainly in the presidential. We'll see probably, well, this year we probably will see a lot. But typically, unless there's something really,
But that's ironic because that's where people have the most control is on the local level.
I agree.
See, in Long Island, that is not the case. They turn out in droves for a school vote because they feel on the federal and state level, they're only one person, their vote may be ignored. But when it comes to the school and the library, which passes all the time, that's on a separate day, But when it comes to the schools, it's just so important. And it's important not just for students and for education. There is another reason that's equally and will appeal to business people. I have compared the real estate in Norwell with comparable size homes in Hanson and Whitman. You can have the same number of footage, square footage, acreage. You can have 6 rooms, 2 bathrooms, whatever. You will pay close to $100,000 more to live in Norwell. You know why? They have a better school district and a better voting record. I'm putting these things through. People look for that with young children. I realize old people, I'm retired. I am a former teacher and proud of it. And the next thing is when I decide that something has to be done, I am like a bulldog. When there's no such thing in my vocabulary, we can't do it, or it's always been done this way. They told me that in New York. 25 years it might have taken me. I was still there. It got done. Why? Because it's the right thing. I was brought up by 2 parents who never got out of high school, and they sent me to college, not to find a husband, but to do the right thing and to speak up wherever I am. Doesn't matter if there's 20 people or 200 or 2,000, I will speak. And they don't have to like me, but then again, they're not signing my paycheck. So the bottom line is this: if you want good things to happen, our votes reflect on who we are and what we value. And if you value nothing else, and I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys are the good guys. I want to know what the heck is going on in Hanson. And if I have to go door to door, shame them into it, and find out who's got the deep pockets that's giving to them. One guy suggested that if I'm such a do-gooder, all these do-gooders, we should just write a check along with our taxes. I can call his bluff, okay? I can write that check because I don't speak with forked tongue or an empty wallet, okay? It's worth it. $350 is nothing. It's a coffee a day, not even. My granddaughter came home, and when she told me about the vote, she's 11, and she's in school in Hanson, and she goes, they just don't care about us. I said, Grandma cares about you. People care about you. Those teachers are up there working, care about you. Your parents care about you. It's a vocal minority. They have to be reasoned with. I don't know what it will take, and maybe someone with better persuasive powers than I have. I'm not that persuasive.
No, you're doing all right.
I'm sure the schools would have been happy to have you up at the podium
Yeah.
2 weeks
Bring the
ago.
thunder down.
2
on
weeks
it.
ago?
Or 3 weeks ago.
Well,
when we
yeah,
were
I'm
voting.
just not at everything, and yet I'm a stone's throw. I was at a town meeting, that was enough to, I'm not used to town government, so Mr. Rosen wanted to know what I thought about it. I said, I don't think 150 people ought to run a town, okay? And especially when it comes to money. When anything comes to money, I'm a Yankee. I am frugal, okay? I am not one for frills. I don't think these teachers are overpaid. In fact, I think they're underpaid. I don't even know what their pay scale is, but I don't think they're overpaid. If anything, I think I was overpaid. We had a strong union in New York, and we will keep it. Your guy Bloomberg came down all the way from Medford, Massachusetts, and tried to destroy us. Well, we sent him packing. He's no longer there. And then he thought he'd run for president. Please. I said, you're kidding. He's too short. And someone corrected me and said that was politically incorrect. I said, my father fought for this country. I can say anything, anywhere, anytime.
There you go.
Because he laid down his life. Okay? Don't talk to me. Another guy told me I was a patriot. That's what he heard. I was a librarian in a high school, English teacher, then librarian. He came in and he said, I hear you're a real patriot. I said, you're absolutely right, and I'm proud of it. I said, what's your point? I said, where are you from? Canada. I said, well, there you go. We're protecting your borders, and you're employed here. Please stand and do the pledge. Are you aware of the fact they did not? I stood every day by myself with a little flag and pledged. They told me they did not have to. I said, Dee, it's a shame when we have to get people, teachers who are supposed to be setting the norm, to stand and salute. That is not the case here, I'm happy to say. And I'm happy to say that there's respect for faith, tolerance, etc. I'm happy to see what I see. And I am up at the schools. for different events that involve my granddaughter. I'm not there all the time. They did ask me to come and be the librarian. See, so I do find out what goes on. I said, what do you mean, be the librarian? What do you need a librarian for? Don't you have one? Didn't you have one? What happened to her? So they said, well, she's not there. And you were a librarian, Grandma, so you could come up. I said, I don't drive, and I never did it for elementary. So I don't think I'd have the patience of a whole class coming in with 30 books, processing them, and letting 30 little darlings take them out. I didn't have that. I was more of a bouncer at a high school, okay? And I did extremely well at that, okay? It was a job that I was definitely good at. And I'm researching. I did a lot of research with them. I want to pose this to you, too, and then I'm sitting down. We have a showcase, the high school. What good is availing the students of all of those opportunities? And I've been up there. The lighting, the stage, everything, and the library. If they don't have library in elementary, you must start at the beginning. You cannot wait and add this stuff in at the end. You must start at the beginning. New York City was remiss. They played by hardball, by technicalities. I was employed because you must have librarians, 1 per 1,000, which is still quite the ratio, in the high school, not so in elementary. As one librarian put it, you serve at the principal's pleasure. Every time I heard that, you can imagine, I said, thank God I'm not in the elementary school. And every time I hear that on Blue Bloods, it rankles. I do not serve at anyone's pleasure except the students. Those are the only ones I would serve. But I was like, she actually told the young girl this. Do you know the next time we had a meeting, she lost her position because she wouldn't do a bulletin board or something. I was like, what? Be that as it may, we're a step above that kind of nonsense. Where those kids are getting short shrift down there at times. We've got a future here, and it's up to us to do it and do the right thing. Every single time, whether we get knocked down, as Muhammad Ali said, may he rest in peace, doesn't matter how many times you're knocked down, get up and do the right thing. And he did. The only mistake he's having is Clinton speak at his funeral, which I'm surprised. But be that as it may, that's politics. But thank you for listening to me. I am sorry, Mr. Lyman, Frank, that I missed, as I did say once, I don't call older people by their first name. That was a terrible mistake. I never lived that down.
I'm sure you'll get it in the mail today or tomorrow.
Well, whenever. I got a lot of mail. I could have thrown it out by mistake, and I regret that if that happened.
I'll get over it.
No, and I stand corrected. But I still would like a budget. I hope we could maybe recall it. We could maybe next year get better prepared. I'll get my absentee ballot in right away, because I'm telling you right now, May's busy for me. I can already tell you there'll be a confirmation, a communion, somebody will get married, somebody will die, something will happen.
I did mention because of the regional process, it would be very difficult to do another budget because each budget certification requires another town meeting in both towns.
Oh.
And any increase would require an override because we're essentially at our levy limit.
You're a joint, yeah, I come from a joint district, by the way, but it's not run like this. Right. It's run a little differently. Here's my daughter. You have to get used to it, Mom. You're in Massachusetts and you're in a town government. You just can't seem to get that through your head. She's probably right. I was born a New Yorker, I'll die a New Yorker. I may die up here, but I'll die in New York.
I know nothing about that.
I know.
Thank you so much.
I grew up in the Bronx.
Thank you.
You did. Good for you.
Thank you.
They smartened up.
I see the beginning of a long-lasting relationship here. Thank you very much, Mary. We appreciate those remarks. And hopefully you keep your energy up for the next year because we'll probably be facing the same kind of thing again next year. Anyone else here would like to speak on something that's not on the agenda? Okay, it's past 7:05. Time for a public hearing with respect to the application of Trillium Fuel Real Estate LLC doing business as Whitman Gas for an amended fuel storage license for an increase in the storage on the premises located at 180 South Avenue as follows. 25,132 gallons gasoline and 5,000 gallons diesel fuel.
Mr. Chairman, this is the former Ledbetter site,
Okay.
and the gentlemen here have purchased and will be operating.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Now, these two are related. These two
I would-
public meetings are related.
Yes, they are.
So I might as well read the other one, too. We're also having a public meeting with respect to your application of Trillium Fuel Incorporated doing business as Ryan's Auto Sales for a Class II auto dealer's license on the premises located at 180 South Avenue. Now, that will be subject to the receipt of a surety bond and final inspection and approval by the building commissioner.
You have that? Excellent. We have the surety bond.
Okay. I have a note here that you need to schedule an inspection of the property with Bob Curran.
That's right.
Okay. Have you done that?
By the inspector, right?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Pardon?
I mean, he's gonna have to go over there and check it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, he is. And
It's been done.
He has some concerns apparently about the way the place is laid out, so,
I do have a plan, and he
right. So,
okay with it too.
yeah, once he passes on that, we'll probably vote your application subject to that meeting that you have with Mr. Curran and his passing the plan.
Perfect.
Okay, can I have a motion on,
Both issues, or
you can do both.
I make a motion on both issues of the fuel storage and the Class II auto dealer's license.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Frank, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm just glad to see the property will be active again.
Right?
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
I did bring that 21J certificate compliance. Everything is approved by the state, so I have this too.
Excellent.
Do you have a time frame as to when you think you might have your opening, how long it's going to take to rehab the property?
Well, right now, what we're trying to do is pull up all the license, and the engineers is working on it. As you see, we just started.
Thanks, Mike.
We just started the layout on the new looking of the building, how it's gonna look, and the cars, I was gonna sit at the pumps, the parking, everything, in the garage separate, where we need to add on in the future, and this one too. It's old bathrooms in here, we need to take out, they're all very old, we need to replace them with a new bathroom in the back, on the side here of the building. So, this is, it's coming up, as long as we need the license right now to keep going with
Project.
engineering.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Good
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Welcome to Whitman.
Thank you. My son Ryan, I'm Rabi Mujahid. My son Ryan Mujahid.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to make the FY17 annual appointments. I have a list.
Just a copy of the book.
That's the original, I hope.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'm getting one.
Make a motion that we make
This
our
is a copy of
physical
all
17
the
annual
everything,
appointments.
the certificate.
Okay, and there's a list here. I'm not going to read them all.
Guns,
Second.
everything.
They're available.
Okay.
This is-
All those in favor?
This is actually the bond.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to keep it, I'll
Yep.
bring you the certificate.
Okay.
We have some vacancies on boards and committees. I'd like to announce them and invite people to contact the Selectmen's office to apply for any one of these vacancies if they would like. The AAA Advisory Committee, we need an alternate delegate vacancy. There's an alternate delegate vacancy. There's an associate member vacancy on the Board of Appeals.
We live right behind the gas station.
There are 2 vacancies on the Building, Facilities, and Capital Expenditures Committee. There's a vacancy on the Bylaw Study Committee. 2 vacancies on the Conservation Commission. A vacancy on the Fair Housing Committee. There are 3 vacancies on the Historical Commission. A vacancy for 2017, a vacancy for a term that ends in 2018, and an associate member vacancy. Old Colony Planning Council and Joint Transportation Committee, there's an alternate delegate vacancy. Recreation Commission, there are 2 non-voting member vacancies. And on the Whitman Cultural Council, there's a vacancy for a term that will end in 2018. So if anybody is interested in those, let's contact the Selectmen's office, please. Next item on the agenda is to declare the following equipment as surplus. I have no idea what these things are, but I'll read what's written.
They're all network equipment.
Yeah.
And when you get the first one, it's POE, not PO.
Wow, thank you very much.
What?
And is that chassis?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 8310 slot PO chassis, or POE chassis. 2, 8393SF CPU modules. 2, 8348TX10 over 100 modules. And 3, 8301AC 1770W AC power supplies.
A motion that all items be classified as surplus equipment.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Yes, that's
Want to
second.
read it yourself?
As you know,
Second.
we voted last year to fund an upgrade to the backbone for the network system. This is all of the equipment that delivers that data to the various locations.
Thank you, Frank. That was almost as clear as what I read. Okay, all those in favor? See, you're talking to really old people here. Act on the request of Jim Morgridge on behalf of Harbor to the Bay Incorporated for permission to pass through Whitman along Route 58 between the hours of 7:45 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. on Saturday, September 17th, 2016, in connection with the Harbor to the Bay charity bike ride.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This was done last year too, right, I believe?
Yeah, the route will be run by the chiefs
Yeah.
for their approval.
Yeah, not a problem.
It's moved and seconded.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the request of Catherine Youngman on behalf of the Whitman Cultural Council to reserve the Town Hall Auditorium as an alternate location for the summer band concert scheduled to take place, excuse me, on June 30th, July 7th, July 14th, July 21st, and July 28th, 2016, in the event of inclement weather.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is to set the fee for the Farmer Series pouring permits, which is almost as opaque to me as those modules were. Frank, would you like to explain this?
Yes, the state is encouraging local agriculture, and local brewers are able to apply for pouring permits to serve not only what they grow, but packaged beer as well. The license is something of a hybrid as compared to a normal beer and wine license. And we have never issued one before. I would like to recommend that we set the fee at $350. That would be the midway point between the lowest and highest in our marketplace.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. I do have a
Anyone
question. So that means that Joe from Star Street can't grow a bunch of strawberries and make strawberry wine and peddle it up and down the street, correct? They can't do that with this.
No, they can open and operate a home brewery
Yeah.
under state law without any approval from
Make
us.
wine out of strawberries?
However, if they want to open a facility and sell both their product and packaged beer or wine, they need a license from the Board of Selectmen. We have one brewer in town right now, and I believe he's in the process of relocating, and this license is requested in the process of doing that.
Okay.
Right, they also have to pass Board of Health?
Yes, they would be subject to health rules.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the pouring permit?
Aye. Drinks on me?
Okay. Now we're down to the monthly reports of our police and fire departments. Chief?
Which one? Which one?
Well, Chief Benton got up, so. We're getting up in the order in which it was read, police and fire.
Yep. Save the best for last. We'll let fire go last.
Thanks, Chief.
Anything I can do to help, you know that. You should have gotten the attachment, so I'm just gonna go right down the agenda that I sent out. Log calls for us from January 1st to through May 7th have been 5,656. Last year, we were 4,782 at this time, which is an increase of 874. Our arrests, criminal complaints, and protective custodies as of May 31st are at 181. We have had 14 drug overdoses through May 31st. 2 of those were fatal. And last year at this time, we were at 19 overdoses and 1 fatal. So we are doing better than last year, but unfortunately, we have 1 more death than we did at this time last year. The opioid crisis continues to be at the forefront. I mean, we're not seeing I think the legislation that's been passed and the measures that are taken and the coalitions that are out there and the meetings that are going on, and certainly the community leaders like yourselves and the schools and, from the governor's office to the mayor's office, people are working tirelessly. I know the people in the coalitions that I'm involved with do a great job. And they're constantly looking for new ways to try to reach people and help people. And it's just something that, this is not something that we're just going to fix overnight, unfortunately. And it's probably going to be a while. Like, even look at the change in the way that the medication's handed out now for painkillers. It's great, but it's going to take a while for that to really show us anything. So, but the good news is that everybody's banding together, and this has really brought, people together constantly trying to look at new ways to come up with things.
I do have a question.
Yep.
The last few days, I can't remember what day it was. I saw a national news program. You might have seen it. I think it was on NBC, about a Massachusetts town. The chief has really gone in a different direction than normal operations, around the country. As far as he put out on, I think it might have been Facebook, if you have a problem coming to the station with your drugs and your paraphernalia, we won't charge you, when we'll get you in a rehab program. And I guess it's the statistics that he's come up with are really quite impressive, but it's kind of wrangled some feathers with the DA's office. I was just wondering what your thoughts about something like that was, to really thinking outside the box as far as helping get people into rehab.
I'm for anything that is going to help people. I think probably the concern that you're running in there is, as a police department, we can't grant amnesty to people. That's the district attorney's office, the ADAs, they're the ones that carry that power. I mean, our threshold is probable cause. We charge people or we don't. I think they're concerned, we don't have to charge them. And certainly I think, I can tell you that if somebody came to the Whitman Police Department and said, I need help, I have drugs on me, I don't want them, I want to give them to you and I want help, we're going to give them help. We're not going to lock them up.
Yeah.
We're going to say, okay, let us find a place for you. All the resources that I've talked about, and Dr. Kowalski and Mrs. Kowalski are very involved with this. We have numbers. The numbers are available. We have counselors. We have angel coaches that will come out of recovered people who can actually, it's like if we have all played baseball, we can talk to somebody about baseball and they can say, oh yeah, you understand it. If somebody has a heroin addiction and they talk to me about it, I can say to them, well, yeah, I've never had a heroin addiction, so I don't know what they're going through. But these coaches, these angels that help them have been there.
Yeah.
And who better to help them? So we would reach out and do that too.
Yeah.
I think anything that works, that helps people with this epidemic, because as I've said before, we can sit here, you get the people that will debate it and say, well, it's not a sickness, it's their choice, and you know what? It's a public health and a public safety issue, and we have to deal with it. period.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that as a society we are, and certainly as this town, I'm proud of the way this town has dealt
Yeah,
with it.
no, I agree, and if I can find the link, I'll send it to everyone here and yourself to...
That's probably the
you know,
is it the Gloucester Police Chief?
I believe it was
He
north
went
of
down and
Boston.
got a presidential award, too.
Yeah, it was fascinating, the results that they had, and it did upset a few people at the DA's office, but it saved some people, so...
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
That's
you know
right.
what
I mean, ultimately, that's what we're here for, is to try to save people, so
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, just to follow up on what the chief was saying, Carol and I were at the latest regional coalition meeting. It's at East Bridgewater, Rockland.
Yep.
East Bridgewater, Rockland, West Bridgewater, Whitman, Hanson, Brockton. Of the groups of people from the different towns. And one of the things that I came away from that meeting impressed about was basically the participation and the attitude of the law enforcement people at that meeting, including Chief Bennett.
Great.
They are all over this crisis as much as they can be, with an attitude that is totally healthy as far as law enforcement is concerned. You expect that kind of response from school people. You expect that kind of response from parents of people who have had trouble. But I'll tell you, the overall response of the law enforcement agencies in our local area has been fantastic. And the chief has been involved with it.
I think
as
the
much as
governor, too, has been very positive in some of the things he's brought forth.
Yeah, he has. He very well has. A lot of people have on the national and the state level. But it's not an issue that has crossed people's minds over the last year.
Right.
They've thought about it over the last year.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time.
Yep.
And as the chief warns, and he's right, it's not something that's going to be cured overnight either.
Right.
So it's a tough thing. It's after the election, our election here. And I don't look at Facebook, maybe I don't look at it as much as some other people, maybe more than I need to, but not as much as I should. What we saw after the election was a lot of anger on both sides, on the no people side and the yes people side. A lot of anger. Everybody's angry.
Yep.
And so I mentioned that to my wife, to Carol. I said, this is like going through the anger stage of grieving, denial, anger, bargaining. I says, are we as a group of people, as a society, unconsciously aware that something's happening to us and we're just ticked off?
Yep.
She thought that was way too simple, and she's probably right. But she says, what she wonders about when she thinks of the United States being the country that sells and buys more painkillers than any other, and you layer that on top of the opioid crisis. What's up with that?
Yep.
Why do we want to put ourselves out of our misery and be angry all at the same time? What's going on? Something's happening, and it's not anything that's going to be cured right away. It needs diligence, a lot of diligence. Just the chief and I were talking before the meeting about the poor dog that died at the canine grooming place. A lot of energy, negative energy, has been spent on that. And of course, I have a dog. I love dogs.
Right.
Dogs are good.
Right.
It's a sad thing. The dog came to a place and died. But that explosion of social media about that event was way overblown.
Right.
And I think the chief wanted to say something about that today anyway. But it's just a lot.
Yeah, it's, I get it that pets obviously are important to people, and I'm certainly don't take that lightly. As a police department, we investigate alleged criminal activity. Our ACOs are great people. Lisa McKay has a great reputation. She's an ACO in several communities, well respected by the MSPCA. Doesn't sweep anything under the rug, trust me. Even if you wanted her to, she won't. So she went up there. All we can do is go by, Facebook, somebody made the comment, well, you went up there afterwards. Well, if I had a time machine, I'd wind the clock back to before it happened and we could go up before, but I don't have that option.
It's amazing.
So we went up afterwards, view video. There were 6 other dogs there, nothing happened to them. Has there ever been a complaint against these owners? No. Is anybody, any veterinary doctor from the VCA in Whitman or the VCA in Weymouth saying, canine groomers killed this dog, you need to go back there? No necropsy, which is the equivalent of an autopsy, because the family was advised that due to the high fever, the results would be negated anyway. Why did the dog die? I don't know. I know that, I'm sure everybody has had somebody that they've talked to that went to the doctor the day before and was given a clean bill of health and dropped dead the next day.
Yep.
Why? I don't know. Our sole responsibility was looking at, did canine groomers in any way, negligently or recklessly, through a criminal act, facilitate that dog's injury or death? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, when this got posted on Facebook, was before the investigation and the people just said they did it, and now there are people it doesn't matter. You could go up there, and they don't want to hear it. Nope, they did it and that's it. I mean, I've heard everything from we're trying to cover it up. I said, why? Well, because they're a business in town. You know how many people we lock up? We lock up Whitman residents.
Yeah.
We don't care. I mean,
Right.
it is what it is.
That'll be a good quote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
yeah,
all
I
got
know.
Whitman residents. We don't care.
Come to Whitman.
We don't, yeah. What was
Our
disheartening?
property values just went down.
Headline, Tracy.
What was disheartening? Disheartening for the canine groomers though was people wanted to burn their house down.
Yeah.
Wanted to kill them.
Tough.
I mean, this is and I get it that it's a dog, but and I know that they're important. And I know some people, to them, that's their child. So let's shift that to, you don't get this outcry for a 2-year-old that gets killed.
Right.
And it's like, I know they want the smoking gun, but there is no smoke. Unfortunately, the dog died. Why it died, like I said,
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there an underlying thing? That I don't know. But I know that there was nothing that we were able to, based on the evidence and the information that we had. And it wasn't like Canine Groomer said, come on in, look at the video. It wasn't like they said, go get a warrant to look at our video.
Thank God they had the video.
I mean, they were cooperative. There was not, and like I said, there was 6 other dogs, no other complaints. We've had no other complaints. It's an unfortunate thing. And I told them, I feel bad for the owner, and I said that. I feel bad for the owners. Our
Right.
sympathies go to them, but I can't, the threshold is probable cause that we have to get to.
Yeah.
We don't worry about innocence or guilt, because that's for the court or a jury and a judge to decide.
Right.
But the fact that probable cause, it's not there.
Right.
So-
Nobody wins in this situation at all. But I was going to say this when we went around the board, but I want to thank you for that report, because when I read that report and also read all that stuff on social media, it really was awful. And that report was so thorough, and your outfit and the ACOs, I commend everyone involved with this, because that was a fantastic report. It had plenty of information, and
Well,
it got
yeah.
to the nuts and bolts of the whole thing, and you did a great job, and I want to thank you.
Well, thanks. I mean, there's plenty of people that will disagree with you. It was a press release, but I put more info in it
Right.
because I knew there'd be more questions.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
what people were looking for, like, this is a terrible report. It wasn't the report. It was a press release to try to basically take away
Yeah.
the amount of venom that was being directed at canine groomers.
Right,
And
right.
kind of try to, quell that down.
Right.
And unfortunately,
Well, in the society, that's what the news. If it bleeds, it leads. That's what
Yeah.
the social media is all about now.
yeah.
But you did a great job, and I thank you for that.
Oh, thanks.
You want to talk about the mock prom crash?
Yeah, I'll do so the mock prom crash went well. It was very emotional, as it always is, but the kids did a great job. A lot of the kids were impacted by that. Some of the scams going on, IRS, National Grid, both gas and electric, lottery. They just called, I just got a call at my house the other night that the IRS is going to come put me in jail, and I said, good, I need a vacation. But obviously, the thing is, anybody that's telling you you need to send money, or you need to send money to get money, You shouldn't be doing it. And if you have any questions about anything, please call us. And we'll help you with it. We just covered the Whitman Fire Department did their annual memorial, and also McGuigan's did their annual charity road race. And that was covered by members of our department as well as the auxiliary unit, who did a great job. All members, we had a few of the full-timers on bicycles who actually rode with the runners and stuff, so that was nice. We're getting our use with the bike patrol stuff. 4th of July festivities are going to be coming up. We'll be covering that. There's a road race as well as the festivities in the park that'll be going on. And, I just want to thank the men and women of the Whitman Police Department and the auxiliary unit for all their hard work and dedication. And wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
Same to you, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone have any further
Yeah,
questions?
Chief, just one thing. The intersection of Franklin and South Ave, how's that, the four-way stop? How is that?
Yeah,
working?
no, it's
Seems to
working
be
good.
working pretty good.
Yeah, I've gotten more positive feedback than not. I mean, people have to understand it's about crashes, so.
Right. I mean, people don't like change, but change for the better, it needed to get done.
Yeah, you know the old saying, hurry up and change before you have to.
And the DPW did a
Great job.
good
Yeah,
job
they did.
down at the, reconfiguring that and setting up the islands. Did a good job.
They did, except for one thing.
Yeah,
When you're coming down Franklin Street
yeah.
and you want to go straight across, you have a choice between,
Yeah.
there's only an arrow that says go left.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have a thing that says straight.
That'll be, when they
When they
redo the street,
return.
that'll be gone.
Yeah,
The
that-
markings will be changed.
Yeah.
Chief,
I was gonna say good morning, good evening. A Dalmatian? I know, I saw that. Must have been the computer. R-O-U-G-H. Rough. Either that or my dog was in my office and he was barking at me when I was typing this. One or the other. If you look at my report, I don't know if it spell check itself or did whatever, but it changed rough to rough. R-O-U-G-H to R-U-F-F.
I asked him if he got a Dalmatian.
Sometimes I bring my dog to work. He might have been barking when I was typing it. So you all have copies of my May report that I submitted last week. You'll see that we did 199 emergency responses in the month of May. The busiest day of the week, again, is Mondays, just as it has been remaining steady. Usually that doesn't come to fruition until June, July, and August, when people are out all weekend and then they decide that Monday is their sick day. But for some reason, it's running steady right now. So 59.8% of our runs were rescue and EMS calls, with the scattered, with the remaining scattered out just through fire calls, car fires, brush fires, stuff to other effect. The busiest time for us is 12 noon for EMS calls. 11% of our calls were 12 noon. And I will tell you that generally the guys are eating lunch at 11:30, because at 12 o'clock the phone rings or the dispatch system goes off, and it's generally for the medical center at 312 Bedford Street. And my mother's primary care is up there, so I joke with them like all the time. I said, oh gee, it's getting like close to 12. I'm not going out today, but it's just a freak thing that every day right around noontime we're going up to 312 Bedford Street. One ambulance, two ambulances back to back. So 12 noon is a busy time of day. 10% of the transports that we're seeing are for behavioral emergencies. I don't know if you remember, but a few months ago I think that number was in the high teens. So we're seeing a lot of psychological issues and behavioral type of issues in town lately. 7% is for chest pain, obviously, as you can see. And the first out ambulance is ambulance 247. That truck did 90 responses in the month of May, with the backup truck doing 20. So we have in the books right now to purchase a new ambulance. It's being spec'd out right now. You'll see that these trucks are run hard. And in fact, a second out truck, which is ambulance 248, is a 2010. And that's going out just after the 1st of July, because it looks like it has a rear main seal. And the backup truck that's going to take place of that is a truck that's 21 years old. That's the truck that's being replaced this year. So we may be down to one ambulance for the month of July. by the looks of it. 48 of our transports went to Brockton Hospital, with 35 to South Shore and 14 to Good Samaritan Medical Center. The rest are Morton Hospital, Jordan Hospital, Beth Israel Deaconess, in Boston, stuff to that effect. We do transport directly in town, depending on the situation and depending on weather conditions. If we have a trauma patient who's a stable trauma patient and MedFlight is not flying, we'll get medical control options to like transport that patient like right in town. If we have a doctor's request that their patient goes directly into their specialty, as long as they're stable enough, then we'll take them like right in town. It's one of the services that a lot of towns don't provide. My feeling is that we're there to serve you and we're there to see your needs, and as long as you're stable, we will take you wherever you need to go, within reason. I say within reason. I'm not going to take you to Florida unless I drive the ambulance and the police chief,
No New York.
that comes with me. So for calls, we had 2 cardiac arrests in the month of May. One of those cardiac arrest patients went directly to the cath lab and had a cardiac catheterization done as soon as they arrived. And I think that the important fact of that is to show what we've spent town meeting funds on for equipment for the ambulances. When you go into cardiac arrest, obviously you stop breathing and you have no heartbeat, so you need CPR. If you remember last year, we bought 2 Lucas devices, and what they are is they're chest compression machines that we strap on the patient, and that takes over chest compression, so we can do more invasive like techniques like airway management, drug administration, defibrillation, stuff to that effect. American Heart Association used to say it's all about ventilations, it's all about protecting the airway. Now it's all about chest compressions. They've changed 360 degrees. They're not overly concerned about airway maintenance, it's all about chest compressions. These Lucas devices are compressing the chest uninterrupted 120 beats a minute. So it takes about 10 seconds to put this machine on. So we get there, we look, listen, and feel, there's no pulse, we start CPR, somebody else grabs it, slides the board under, drops it over, measures it, hits the button, and it starts compression. We've had more patients delivered to the Brockton Hospital with pulses since we put those in service than we have in the past 20 years. And this patient went right upstairs with the machine still on. The cardiologist met the crew as they came through the door at the ER. He goes, "Don't stop that, don't take it off, come with me." And upstairs they went, and they brought my guys right through the whole catheterization. They said it was absolutely awesome, because they were able to actually watch them insert the cath and go through and clear the blockage and restore the guy's heartbeat without the machine. So that's a terrific experience for our people. On the other side of the coin, we had 3 DOAs in the month of May, and 2 of them were directly related to opioid overdoses. Now, I'm going to give you some numbers on ages. They're not my numbers. They're not my classifications.
I was wondering where they came from.
Yes,
I
but
didn't realize that there's a category of seniors.
our ambulance reporting software
We're elderly. I like that.
classify age 65 plus as elderly.
Elderly.
As elderly,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
We're not seniors anymore.
You're
We're
not
elderly.
seniors, you're elderly. No, seniors are now classified as age 50 to 64. But age 65 plus made up for 51 of our calls. 50 to 64 was 28, and then the adult is 22 to 49. Those were 23 calls, and then the rest of them just like trickled down. 15% of the time in May, we had multiple ongoing calls where the fire station was left empty with nobody to respond. And this is where the regional dispatch center is tremendous for the town of Whitman and for our people in the street, because when the fire station is empty, there's nobody to answer their radios or there's nobody to answer the phones. Now there is, and I can relax and know that at least my guys have somebody that they can talk to. For example, this past Saturday, they did 19 calls in a 24-hour shift. And on the day shift, I want to say 12 of those calls were done during the day shift by the 5 guys on duty, including a drowning at Hobart Pond that they had to don the survival suits and go in the pond and pull the guy out. So it's just day-to-day stuff the frequency of what we're responding to and how busy our department like has become. And on the other side of the coin, the illnesses of the patients that we're seeing is sick patients. 4% of our sick patients are priority 1 patients. A priority 1 patient requires at least 3, if not 4 people in the back of the ambulance with them. We run a 5-person shift, and 4% of them have been priority 1s, just in May alone. 12% were priority 2 patients. Generally, well, all the time on priority 2 patients, there's 2 medics in the back of the ambulance, sometimes 3. And then it's just broken down to like general medical issues and abdominal pains and stuff, and those were the next most frequent calls we had. Training was done to all the members by Lieutenant Cunningham, who's my fire training officer. He's still been working on our rapid intervention training, and that's what our spring program was. We currently have a house at the end of May Street, which the developer has allowed us to use pretty much all of next week, so my guys will be doing live training in that house. So it's live, hands-on, through the door and through the floor, pull the guy out of the basement, through windows, roofs and ceilings and stuff. So it's a great training experience. And all of us also recertified this past month in advanced cardiac life support, which we have to do every 2 years, which we bring a company in to do that. Budget-wise, all other services is pacing just about appropriately. We're in the low to mid-90s right now, and we should be for this time of year with things like winding down. Expenses are running steady. I will tell you that the month of May, we brought in $70,000 in revenues for ambulance billing, which has knocked that account down to there's a $500 balance in that, so I'll be back in the June 21st meeting to transfer funds into the ambulance billing account, which is a good thing. For the building itself, the hot water heater is in need of replacement. It's failed twice. It's on its last legs, and I've got estimates of somewhere around $6,000, so I'm waiting until after July 1st to fix that. In good news, we took delivery of the new pumping engine, which town meeting approved a year and a half or 2 town meetings ago, $550,000. What that truck is going to do is take place of actually two trucks that we currently have. What happens right now is if we get a call for a motor vehicle accident, the jaws of life and all the extrication tools are on the rescue truck, which doesn't have any water on it. So we have to split crews. So there's a parade of fire apparatus that goes down the street. You've got the shift commander, you've got the ambulance, you got a fire truck, then you have the rescue truck. With this new pumping engine, it was designed as a rescue pumper. So all of the vehicle extrication equipment that town meeting approved is mounted on this truck with everything else. So now if there's a call for a motor vehicle crash, it's the shift commander and the ambulance and this rescue pumper with 2 people on it. It goes to all fire calls, it goes to all motor vehicle crashes. So it has all of our firefighting equipment on it, and it has all of our vehicle extrication equipment on it. It has the jaws of life, it has the airbags, it has cribbing. It's one truck shopping for everything. So that's a great addition to us. It should be in service in about 2 weeks. Guys have already gone through training on that. Fire drills were conducted as for the last quarter, as required by state law. Fire drills generally go very, very well. Very little, unlike issues. We worked in conjunction with the police department and Hanson Fire and Police on Operation Safe Prom, which the police chief spoke about. That went very well. That's always a very sombering event. We haven't seen a issue with prom night in many, many, many years. You'll see that there was just one, I believe, in the city of New Bedford or whatever, where there was a fatal. So I like to think that our proactive approach is really helping us in keeping our young kids alive. We do fire truck ride raffles. So the 2 elementary schools PTOs have basket raffles and everything else to raise funds. So they come to me on a frequent basis and they ask for fire truck raffles. So each year 2 or 3 kids are awarded fire truck rides to school. So my safe officer will come in and he'll pick up the family after they sign the proper waivers that town council has made up and everything, and they sign the waivers, and we drive the kid to school, and they pull him to school with lights and siren going, and the classes are out, and the kids are all happy, and it's a great PR tool.
That's cool.
Deputy Feeney continues to work closely with the building commissioner on Tuesdays. They're really making a big dent in a lot of fire and building issues that we may have in town. We did celebrate Firefighters Memorial Sunday, this past Sunday. 11 members on the department received Fire Service Award for length of service, starting at 20 years all the way up to 30 years. I'm very proud of those members. Great job. And on the end of that, I would just like to thank all of the members of my department and my administrative assistant for all their hard work. My guys have really been up against some very trying times, some very busy times, and they come in day and they do a fantastic job, and that's what I have.
Okay, and you forgot the last item on the report, Chief, that on May 17th, you were sworn in as the second vice president of the Fire Chiefs Association.
I was.
Congratulations.
I was, thank you very
So
much.
that would mean in 2020, you'll be the
President.
president of the association.
I will, yes, I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Yeah, on the hot water tanks, the rooftop hot water tanks, any plans on
Rooftop hot water
replacing that?
heaters, the rooftop units, Frank and I have discussed, Bob Carr and I, they were going to be replaced this past year, but we were looking at different funding options. Those were installed when we did the renovations on that great building project back in 1999, 2000. They were aftermarket, to say the least, when they were installed. We spend a significant amount of money on them each year to keep them running. I've recently had C&S refrigeration up to give them a once-over again, and there's a good chance they won't make the summer. But we're Band-Aid approaching them, and when we have funds available, both rooftop units will be replaced.
Will we expect to see an article at our annual town meeting next year? Or can you
We
do it
should
before that?
expect to see it.
Huh?
We should expect to see it.
Yeah.
As for the hot water heater, that's just a freak thing that they get up, they were taking showers one morning and lost their hot water, went down cellar, and it was leaking water everywhere, so the plumber came in and fixed it, and he says, this thing is ready to go. So,
What are you looking at, a Renai unit?
who?
Tankless.
Hot water on demand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and he says like $6,000 because it's a commercial building. The problem is he doesn't know how to get it in there, because we got rid of the bulkhead back in
that's
2000. So we're kind of up against a little issue. We're trying to get something in the basement.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for round the board, Frank.
Just a couple of things. I would like to notify the board that we have received notice from the ABCC. As you may recall, last month, we were notified that 4 of our licensees failed a compliance test with the ABCC. Whitman Convenience received a 3-day suspension, but the suspension was suspended for 2 years. For 2 years. And as long as they have no further violations, they will not have to serve it. Temple Liquors, same thing, 3-day suspension, suspended for 2 years. Jamie's Grill and Pub, because they had no prior violations, were issued a warning. And O'Toole's, which was the 4th licensee cited, we have received nothing on the ABCC. I can only assume there must be some appeal process in place. We'll let you know when that information comes in. I do need to request that the board vote to authorize some line item transfers. For vocational education, from line 172, Norfolk County Agricultural High School, to line 173, vocational transportation, $694.20. For the health department, I have 3 line transfers. $300 from health inspector to animal inspector, $350 from health inspector to recording secretary, and $1,450 from health inspector to expense. The reason that money is available is because we operated for a few months without a health inspector. And all of these are interdepartmental transfers where the expenses are needed in other areas. So with a vote from the Board of Selectmen, I will forward it to the Finance Committee for their vote and transfer by the accountant.
I'll make a motion that will, on the Norfolk Aggie line item transfer, and also for the Board of Health line item transfers.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else, Frank?
That's it.
Okay. Ryan?
I just want to congratulate all the graduates this year from Whitman Hanson and Social Votech and Norfolk Aggie, everybody that's from Whitman. I know we talk a lot about the budget and how this town in particular is divided pretty much 50-50 on the budget situation. We're, I think, in a lot better frame of mind here than our counterpart in Hanson. So budget aside, I would really like to congratulate the students and wish them well, whatever they choose to do.
Dan?
Yeah, also, I'd like to mention that this Friday night, South Shore Tech will have their graduation. It's at South Shore Music Circus, that's where we have it. And I want to congratulate all the graduates from that school, especially the Whitman residents, graduates. And to remind them that there's no limit to the amount of people that can attend. So if you're a graduate and you think just your mother and father can go, no, your entire family can go. There's no limit. There's plenty of room at South Shore Music Circus. So I'd like to see all attending. Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
You gonna sing?
We do need
You can
to
sing.
go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exception 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and we'll return in open session only to adjourn.